Thank you everyone for joining us today for the Aurora Institute Virtual Symposium 2020. Welcome to day 3. This is the moment we've been waiting for those of us who've been working on how to redesign education for a greater good, hearing from students to ground our mission, to drive the transformation of education systems by advancing breakthrough policies and practices toward high quality learning for all. This is it, this is the moment, and this brings it all home. Next slide. We encourage all of you attending to please introduce yourselves, open up the chat, use the chat to ask questions, respond to each other, share your learning. We're on social media on Twitter on #Aurora2020. Please know we're recording the symposium keynotes, breakout sessions, and we've got the Zoom links for the rest of the program on our website and also in your email. So next slide. So without further ado, I will now turn the Aurora Institute Virtual Symposium MC over to Chris Liang Vergara, our partner at World Class Education, for moderating today's student panel. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you, Susan. Can you hear me okay?
Sound good.
All right, awesome. Well, welcome everyone. You've probably heard the saying, take a walk in someone's shoes. But actually, research has shown that trying to take someone else's perspective and sitting in the room by yourself or talking to others really isn't that accurate. And the best way to do it is to just ask the person. And so I'm thrilled, if you jump to the next slide here, to be joined today by 5 amazing students, Nia, Devon, Ashley, Eloisa, and Julius, where instead of trying to take a student perspective, we're going to get a student perspective from them directly, not from their parents, brothers, sisters, teachers, but directly from them, to just hear how they see education, the crisis and the pandemic, and what the future of education really holds. So I'd like to welcome all of them to the stage. Please welcome them. A little round of applause virtually. And hey, everyone. We will go ahead and start with just some introductions. So I'll kind of guide you through, but if you could say your name, school, where you're coming from, and just how you identify. Ashley, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Ashley Lynn. I am a senior at Union High School in Camas, Washington, and I use she, her pronouns.
Thank you. Eloisa?
Hi, my name is Eloisa Trujillo Carrillo. I am a sophomore at Coons Miller Creative Arts Academy in Denver Public Schools, and I'm in Denver, Colorado, and my pronouns are she, her.
Thank you. Julius?
Yeah, I'm gonna start it off in my native language. So, Dalashre Drasa Wikemishe, Wahenome, Kayutse Shwachanasta, Kuwait Kametsa, Ewarkeg. Good morning, everyone. My name is Julius Pedro from Laguna Pueblo in New Mexico. I'm currently a senior at the Native American Community Academy. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you. Devon?
Good morning. My name is Devon Woodard. I attend Nashville Picture High School, which is in Nashville, Tennessee. I am 16 and I'm currently a junior.
Welcome. And Nia?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nia Innis. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a junior at Walter Payne College Prep in Chicago, Illinois.
Sounds good. You're in Chicago as well. Nia, I'll stay with you. Can you share a little bit of just like what is school like for you right now? How it's shifted? Are you remote, hybrid, distance? What's it look like?
Payton is fully remote right now, and sitting in front of a screen all day isn't exactly ideal, but we're trying. And that's something I like a lot about Payton, is that when we come across issues or obstacles, we tend to deal with them as a community. And so right now, having the Payton community all together, just trying to do the best that we can, being really compassionate and understanding of one another, has been really helpful with this full remote learning thing.
Gotcha. And Ashley, what is it like for you?
Yeah, I go to like a big public high school, so there's like over 2,000 students. Like I think I wouldn't exactly say like my school is competency based, but I think like competency based is like a byproduct of good teaching. So, like good teachers like contextualize your learning, like they make it real world. They allow you like multiple ways to demonstrate growth. And so I think I've really been able to experience that. I've been really lucky to have good teachers at Union. And I think during this time of COVID, like a lot of it is becoming more flexible. And and so we're completely virtual, but I think that gives us new opportunities as well.
Gotcha. And from like the personal side, Eloisa, I know, I'm here working in the corner of my basement. My 9-year-old's in the other room doing his virtual, like life has really shifted. Can you share a little bit of just from the personal side, how has your life shifted?
Well, the biggest thing for me has been I used to hang out like with my family all the time. I used to go over to my grandma's like almost every day and I would always see them. And it's been so hard to not be able to do that. So what we've had to do is we had to start doing like Saturday Zooms with each other instead of like our Saturday dinners. So that's definitely been something that's been really hard for me to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. And Julius, how's it been for you?
Yeah, since everything is virtual, everyone's just getting used to, seeing everyone inside of a box, instead of real life. But, personal, for work, I actually work in the film business. So, we're trying to create awareness to, create a healthy environment for everyone. So we're creating a commercial for the city, trying to help everyone to be safe, just that community oriented.
Gotcha. And Julius, I'll stay with you. When you think about like all these shifts, is there anything your school has done that you really hope they just keep doing? Like in terms of keeps, like there's some bright spots going on there. So what should they keep doing?
Yeah, for sure. One thing that I thought was really helpful was, during our lectures, our teachers, record, the sessions like this, and they re-upload them. That's really helpful. Because some kids, they're at home, it's hectic. That gives us a chance to, really see what they're trying to teach us, and it's just a good reflection about the day.
Gotcha. And Devon, when you think about this new model, like what's working for you in this new model of education?
Well, with me, my school has about 163, 64 students. So we're not a big school, but my advisors, they tend to like contact you and make sure like your mental health is okay, make sure you're fine, make sure you have like every resource that you need to be successful. And so we have like a lot of one-on-ones to make sure like I'm okay, and to also make sure like what our advisor thinks we should do to like keep up track with our work and all of that. So that's what I really like about this space.
Okay, cool. Ashley, anything you'd add on that?
No, I definitely agree with what Avon said. I think something working well for me has been like the increased focus on like social emotional learning. Like I think teachers, like it has been really helpful for teachers to realize that students have lives and families and communities outside of school. And I've been noticing like my teachers have been responding to this like my math teacher started doing like welcoming rituals, which like sounds like sounds a bit, it might sound a bit weird at first, but it has actually been super helpful to like help people like all land into like this Zoom class together when we aren't physically in person. So like I think like there are a lot of those small things that teachers have been doing that have been really working.
Oh, I love it. And sometimes it is the little things. Nia, Eloisa, anything of like little things you wish people would do, more of in your education? Nia, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, something that Payton has been doing is every single Wednesday we have either like an asynchronous 8-period day or an asynchronous seminar day. And so basically we just have a long advisory for the day. And then we either have the opportunity to show up to our classes or a seminar of some sort. And that has been really helpful because it really allows us to use our time how we need to. So if that means going to like in office hours with my teacher to get extra assistance with work or a concept or material that I don't understand, or just taking a good mental health day. A lot of students have taken that opportunity because sitting in front of a screen, going to a bunch of meetings and classes, it's not healthy to do it all the time. And so getting the opportunity to just relax a little bit and, take your time and go at your own pace has been really helpful. And having that like in the middle of the week has just been, it's made this a lot more palatable, if you ask me.
Here, Lisa.
I have something kind of similar to that. What we do with our classes is like we do half of it on a Google Meet, and then we do the other half asynchronous time. And I feel like that has been really helpful to me because like Nia said, you could use your time however you want and however you need to. So I could finish my homework and then not have to do it later and then focus on the other responsibilities that I have outside of school. So that's been really helpful.
Good stuff. And let's dream a little bit here. So let's say you had a good 10 million, let's say $20 million to really recreate school. I would say we see so much shifts. Schools are trying to figure out, what do we do in this pandemic? What would you do with that money? If you were the superintendent, principal, leader, how would you make it change? Julius, you want to start us off? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, at my school, we just became a K through 12 school, and the high schoolers have their own campus, but the middle schoolers and elementary, share the same campus, and it's been getting pretty cramped. It would be nice to see either a new middle school campus or an elementary campus for the kids, so they can just be with their same age group. No distractions like that. That's just something, we really need.
Gotcha. Devon, what would you do with the 20 million?
If I had access to that, like for virtual school, I would provide like our students with Wi-Fi boxes and new computers, because a few months ago, before like we were virtual, we had a tornado come through Nashville, and it like swept through houses, and like a lot of students that have resources to like even connect to school. So that's what I would do with the money, is supply our students with everything they need.
Appreciate that. Eloisa, any thoughts?
I think I would pay for more like support for arts integration within my school and for my teachers, because I see it in a couple of my classes, but I don't see it in like all of my classes. And I feel like that would be a great thing for us to have, because we're an art school. It's like more arts integration.
Grant, did you self-produce that music video that we saw the other day?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I did with my vocal coach.
Of course you did. Well done. That was very impressive.
Thank you.
Mia, thoughts? You had a large grant, $10 to $20 million.
I think I would put definitely some of it into more mental health resources for students. I was in a seminar freshman year that discussed how we could do better at Payton with all of that. And that was just something we felt we needed to improve on, was providing those resources for students and making them more known as well. So I definitely say I would put some money into that. Or also like a newer or bigger library with more workspace for students, because a lot of students work in the library, but not everyone can necessarily be there at the same time. So updating that space would be really great for students to, be more productive.
Appreciate that. And Ashley, let me wrap it up in terms of like, how would you upgrade personalized learning, or what would you really do with that kind of influx of funds?
Yeah, I think the first thing that my mind jumps to is just like getting more counselors. So at my high school, we have like a 500 to 1 student counselor ratio. And so like, and I was reading somewhere that on average, like in the US, like a counselor spends like 30 minutes with each student throughout their 4 years. And I just don't think that is enough time for counselors to, like play a meaningful role in both like the students' like academic journey and like planning and like helping them create a post high school plan that makes sense for them, but also like supporting like their social emotional development and like their like life journey more broadly. So I just feel like to personalize something, you really need to have context about that student. And right now, like we aren't supporting our counselors with enough time and resources to be able to get to know each student in a meaningful way.
Love it. And on that, this has been a very intense year. George Floyd and social and racial injustice, a lot of energy and stress on many different levels besides just COVID. What does it feel like for you in terms of, where have you experienced this in education where you really felt seen or supported and your identity really having a strong foundation? Or if not, what do you hope to experience that schools or institutions could do to help you? Ashley, let's stay with you. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So my family immigrated to the US when I was 5. And so like growing up, especially in like elementary and like part of middle school, I was like, it sounds really bad, but I was actually like just embarrassed of like my family and my identity. Like my grammar was like always incorrect. Like I didn't really learn math the same way as everyone else. And like I just really felt like that part of myself like didn't belong in the classroom. And like I tried to like actively like diminish my Taiwanese culture because I felt like it like was a barrier to my learning. And I think like I felt really seen and connected like just starting in high school when my teachers like started emphasizing that, you know, like there are multiple like perspectives and worldviews and there are multiple ways and like I think there are multiple right ways of doing things um and you know, I just feel seen when teachers are open to learning about these other ways of doing and like teachers who introduce new things not to try to like change my values or like change my beliefs, but help me see how like different truths can coexist and how my like cultural and family identity is actually a strength to my learning.
Thank you. And I thank you for the honest answer. Devon, what would be your perspective?
Identifying as an African American male, you start to see that at a young age you experience like racism and discrimination like very, very early, and it's like it hits you hard when you find out like what it actually means. And the thing that I like about my school is they let us express and use our First Amendment right, you know, the right to protest and the right to speak freely. And then they also try to integrate, like, even though George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, like those are very tragic, like deaths and things that struck America, they also make sure like we integrate it into our work and let us speak on it. Like even if it's like a very, very like extreme topic that we're on, our teachers make sure like they listen to us and that they understand us and they respond and make sure like we're okay and how we feel about it. So that's what I really love, how my school handles these situations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Eloisa, any thoughts?
Well, I can pinpoint one specific time in my life where I really felt seen and heard, and that's when I was in 8th grade and I was at Random Middle School in Westminster Public Schools. And when I had moved there, I felt so surprised that there wasn't a gay straight alliance there. And I had just come out the year before as bisexual. So I felt it was, and I knew people in that school too who needed that. So I felt it was really important to have that. So I set up a meeting with my principal, Shannon Willie, and she listened and she helped me get it set up and she helped me find a sponsor for it so that I could create this safe space for other people to come and just have fun and just be loved.
Fantastic. It's great to hear just the proactive nature to establish that. Julius, I mean, thank you for starting your introduction in your native language. When you think of history and just our past as a country, your family's past, how do we address that? Where does that interplay for you in education?
Yeah. So, you know, I come from a Native American background. I guess it would just be nice to see more teachings about Native American people, you know, the hardships they went through, everything that happened to Native American people, because, you know, there's a lot of history that, you know, hasn't been told to a lot of people. You know, I just feel like it's important for people to know what happened to my people and, you know, where they're at now. Yeah.
And Nia, I see you nodding along. I mean, any thoughts for you in terms of how we help just raise up all people, or are there own reflections for yourself?
Yeah, kind of adding on to that point, education matters, representation matters. And it's really important for children to see themselves represented and, valued in the classroom. And, I think at Payton in particular, we're definitely a predominantly white institution, and many Black students, myself included, have felt this feeling of, will we ever be heard or valued or seen by our classmates? And so something that I think Payton tries to do to help raise up all people is hold campus meetings. So like once a month, we would meet together and we would have leaders of an identity club kind of talk about a specific topic outside of maybe what we just, the recycled whitewash history we learned since forever. And I think that is really helpful, at least a little bit, just because it really forces the students to think outside of themselves, to see the harm that our institutions do and start coming up with ideas to remedy that outside of high school, and making sure our students that are part of marginalized identity groups feel heard and represented and seen. So that's definitely something I think we could do for meetings and just discussions about it.
Yeah, love it. Julius, I want to loop back to you. Is there anything that your school does to really help build, cultural inclusivity and personalized learning for all the students?
Yeah, for sure. At our school, they teach many languages. They don't teach Spanish or French or German. They teach the native languages that are around here. So Navajo, Pueblo, Lakota. In those classes, they not only teach the language, but cultural stories. That's a big part of where we get our stories too. That's just a big help. It's not only for Native American students. There's some non-natives that go here. But, yeah, language is a big part.
Gotcha. Well, let's talk a little bit around agency and just sort of power and you as students and kind of your role in owning your own learning and education. We've heard a little bit of these shifts of you have more time and flexibility and what that really looks like. Devon, can you speak to any kind of new freedoms you're experiencing now?
With new freedoms, I really love how my school gives us like the freedom to do whatever we want. Like for example, my teachers, let's say for the first half of class, they teach a new lesson, and then the second half, they be like, okay, now let's talk about the homework I'm assigning you. Do you guys need help? Do you guys want to go over it? And it's like they give us the time to do our work, not only outside of school, but like inside the classroom. And it's amazing. And with the new freedoms, I have like basically my own time schedule. I can start school while eating breakfast. Like I have time to eat. I have time to like get dressed, get ready, and it's amazing. I love virtual school so far.
Thank you. Ashley, any thoughts on freedoms or new freedoms you want?
Yeah, I think I guess a freedom is just like, I think there's a bit more trust kind of placed in me to manage my time, kind of like what Damon was talking about. Like I like how learning isn't as much like tied to seat time. Like you don't need to like be sitting in your classroom to learn, because a lot of my teachers are creating like on-demand work. And so like lectures are recorded and like homework is given ahead of time. So, if you don't need the lectures, you don't need to watch them. Or like if you can finish your homework in 5 minutes, then do your work in 5 minutes and you can do whatever else you want to do. So I think like it gives the people a lot more flexibility to like move through things at whatever pace that they need, and like whatever makes most sense to them.
And when you think about like change, Eloise, I'm going to kick it over to you. Like what tools or newfound, I guess, opportunity do you feel like you need to have even more agency in your learning and education?
I'm sorry, what was the question towards me? Oh, I'm sorry, never mind.
For Eloise.
Okay, I'm sorry.
On tools, I feel like I don't know, because things are going pretty well right now, so it's kind of a difficult question. Maybe I would need more support in certain areas. Like specifically physics is so difficult to be learning remotely, and I feel like if he would just record some of his lessons and I could just rewatch them and be like, okay, let me work through this at my own pace, then that would be so helpful, and it would be so much easier to pass the test and I wouldn't have to study all night.
Yeah, for sure. Nia, thoughts? I saw you nodding.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have anything else right now that I'm thinking of changing, but I definitely agree that recording lectures and giving us the chance to just watch them back is so helpful. I just think our teachers really need to make that effort to reach out to students and see, if we're struggling individually or if there's something else that could be impacting our learning and our ability to focus.
And when you think about just new skills you're developing right now, or even just like skills for the future, is there anything that comes to mind? I mean, I keep hearing more freedom of time, more social emotional, just like things that weren't always part of the school conversation. So is there anything that you're experiencing in terms of skills now or that you feel yourself getting ready for the future? I'll pass to you, Devon, and then Ashley. So Devon?
One skill that I've definitely learned, I used to be a big procrastinator. I used to procrastinate with my time, turning assignments like 1 minute before they were due. I was a big procrastinator. And as time went by, I started like managing my time, managing my work. I have a planner now that I write every single due date for an assignment, and it's like it's really been helpful. And I hope and I keep this skill with me for the time being.
I wish I could say I developed that skill at your age and not interesting. Ashley, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think one of the most important skills I've learned is just like self-reflection and just self-awareness in general. Like being able to know like your strengths and your passions and your values and your long-term goals and like the systems you want to shift. It gives you more purpose to your learning and it allows you to like connect the dots and find meaning in what is going on in the classroom. Um, yeah, so just helping students like define their identity, right, and figure out who they are.
Thank you for that. We got about 5 minutes to go, so let's think about the future a little bit. And I used to be a high school teacher, and just let's talk about love, which is always awkward at that age as you're figuring out. But if you think about like a week of learning for you that you would love, what would that look like? Just joy, love. What does that look like, feel like, sound like? Julius, you want to kick us off?
Sure, yeah. Honestly, as a kid, my favorite subject has always been math. And, in my senior year, my classes got kind of mixed around. So I wasn't really able to take like a core math class. So right now I'm taking like a financial literacy class instead. But, I haven't really been able to connect to my math side. So I would say, honestly, it would just be like a week full of math because like, I need to brush up my math. I haven't been really been on it, this whole quarter / semester. So, a week of geometry, algebra, that's my thing.
Sounds like a winner. Eloisa?
Well, I think a week of learning that I love would look basically like what I'm doing right now. I love how my school has handled things, and I love how much like freedom they have given us with our time. It just allows me to just do like, I don't want to say whatever I want, but like it helps me prioritize what's important. And that has just been great for me. And I don't have to be stressed out all the time. And I actually have A's right now, which has never happened to me in my life. So I think, yeah, it would just look like what I'm doing right now.
Awesome. Good times rolling. Devon, what's a week that you love? What would it look like?
Like Julius said, his favorite subject was math. My favorite subject is science, and it's like since virtual learning has started, science has like went back. Like math is not my new favorite subject, but science, I love science and chemistry. So that's one week that I love to just focus on is science and chemistry. But um, my school, what we're doing now for school is amazing because my teachers make sure not to just strictly enforce work and learning onto us. They also incorporate, jokes, and we watch like little shows that talks about our topic, but like, we can enjoy and laugh at. And they make sure, hey, make sure you relax, make sure you have like everything for you. Don't stress out. We're here for you. So that's a loving week of work.
Appreciate it. Well, to close out, last question, and we'll have everybody answer this. One thing I like to say when people ask me how I'm doing, I say I'm doing, 2025. It's been one crazy year, hanging in there. So when you think to 2021 in the future, what's something you hope for, that you dream for, or you wish for? It could be anything. Nia, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, well, when I hope that this pandemic is over, we can all, stand next to each other and give one another hugs, slowly transition back to the way things used to be just a little bit. And overall, just I hope everyone comes out of this kind of a situation a little bit kinder, a little more selfless, you know, really not always thinking about you and realizing how all of these institutions and systems impact everyone else, and recognize those flaws and mistakes and start working towards making change.
Good. Julius?
Yeah, I'd say, I agree with Nia now. I hope everyone comes back, healthy and safe. Hope this pandemic is over. But overall, I just hope that, everyone, is able to come back to school, actually be in school. For me, I'm going to be in college next year. So, I'm hoping, that I get to actually go to college, not be virtual. But yeah.
Eloisa?
Well, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I want to see everyone safe and healthy, and I definitely hope that people are a little bit kinder, like Nia said. And I definitely just want a vaccine. I want everything to just go back at least halfway normal, at least halfway or 3/4. And like the main thing that I'm definitely hoping for is Biden in office. I'll hope for that.
Devon?
Like everyone said before me, I hope the pandemic slowly but surely goes away and make sure everybody's healthy and safe. But I also wish that everyone comes out of 2020 with like at least half of their goals that they set for themselves like met or completed. Because it's really good to have like goals for yourself and to complete them. And I know most of the time, you look at your goal and be like, oh, I'm never going to complete it. But you have the time and hopefully the resources to complete your goals. So I hope they come out completing half of their goals at least.
Thank you. And Ashley, you want to close this out?
Yeah. I think, yes, things going back to normal would be awesome. But I also hope that people, because I think right now we're at this intersection of a bunch of crises, right? Like there's the public health crises, racial justice has been brought to the forefront. And I hope that we don't forget and we don't lose the momentum that is going on right now. And as we kind of redesign our school systems, we really engage young people in that process. I think young people are the biggest stakeholders in the education system, and we deserve a voice at the table when you're talking about how can we redesign school to make it work better for us. And so, whether that's incorporating young people on school boards, including young people in different work groups, I think it is really important for student voices to kind of lead the way moving forward.
Love it. Well, hey, everyone. Huge thanks to all of you waking up in the morning and making some time. Appreciate your poise and professionalism and honestly just sharing your perspective with us. To the whole virtual audience out there, please, show some love, virtual claps, all that kind of good stuff. If you want to pull up the slide, there's a survey we'll drop in the chat as well. Always looking for feedback, so please share your thoughts in a little 1-minute poll. And again, thank you. Let me make sure Nia, Ashley, Julius, Eloisa, and Devon, you all are fantastic. And just a beautiful way, honestly, for me to start my day. So thank you again for your time. Susan, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Chris. I just want to say thank you. And we are so grateful to the wisdom, Nia, Devon, Julius, Ashley, Eloisa. We're sending our love too. Thank you so much. You can see how, as we design new models, we really do need to draw on local wisdom and the wisdom of our youth in these designs, focusing on equity, focusing on culturally responsive teaching, learning, assessment, and just being there, the importance of whole child's social emotional learning. So we're getting ready to head into a break, so I'll just give an overview of the next sessions. Next slide, please. So up next, after a short break, which I hope we can key up Eloisa's performance again while we take that quick 15-minute break. We'll go into 2 back-to-back breakout sessions. You can see the topics here for the 11:45 a.m. breakout session. This is Eastern Time. That centers on equity, centers on whole child, centers on how we can shape the future. Then the next breakout sessions will have a short break between them. If you can go to the next slide. And then at 1 o'clock, we'll see, next slide, Lauren. We'll see the next breakout sessions that bring us home, really focusing on holistic development, education as an ecosystem, really going deep for practitioners on social emotional learning in our blended, personalized, competency-based environments, building on student agency. So next slide, and then we'll wrap up the day today on day 3 with our closing keynote, highlighting the top trends for the future of education and charting a path forward. So I just want to thank everyone who's participating for your work in transforming teaching and learning for all students. And we are grateful again to the students for joining us today, and all of the students far and wide who are playing a part in this co-designing, offering their wisdom and feedback so generously to us on a path forward. We'll see you in your breakout sessions. Go to your program book to find the Zoom links or on the website. Thank you again, Chris. Thank you to all of our students, and we'll go on break now. Take care.